Talking Turismo, Episode 5, interview with a World Series Showdown driver. We couldn't do this on Monday, but here we are today on a Wednesday evening with our special guest, Jay, aka Oha Yogurt, who is a qualified driver for the World Series for BMW. So, yeah, once again, welcome to Jay. Thanks for joining us today. We were just saying that. Yeah, Oho Yoga hasn't had kind of a lot to do with myself. This is really the first time we've had a chance to talk, and yeah, really interested into getting to know a little bit more about you. So perhaps yeah, we'll jump into it and start off with like, what is your history with sim racing? I do believe you used to play in GT Sport, but it was quite a while
Yeah.
ago, right?
Yes, it was a relatively brief stint in 2018. Actually, I was racing. It was before it was before a lot of rule changes in the World Series in general, such as the region splits in Nations Cup, and back then you could use controller at the live events as well.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I didn't know that when I went to Tokyo, which meant my preparation for Tokyo was kind of terrible.
Okay,
But
what happened there?
I finished last in the Australia block.
Oh no.
I never really got settled even once I was allowed to use controller.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that would have been the regional qualifiers, would
Yeah,
it? Right,
that was the 2018 regional final.
right, okay.
Okay, so yeah, because that's kind of before my time because I only got into playing GT Sport in 2020 at the start of the pandemic, actually. So you were in the regional qualifier. Was that for Nations Cup or for Manu Series, or were they combined back then?
Nations Cup.
Nations Cup. Okay, right.
It was, however, before the Toyota Cup was a thing.
Okay. Yeah, so fair enough. So who were you competing against that day?
I remember the order of finishes. It was Nick McCosey first, Warrior second.
Mm-hmm.
Who was third again? Matt Simmons was third,
Mm-hmm.
and Basical and Adam. I think Adam was fourth.
It's
Uh,
Adam Wilkes, I'm guessing.
no, Bass was sixth. It was I think it was Holland that was fourth or fifth,
Oh, okay.
and then Kaya Kiza seventh.
Yep.
Schnickerman eighth, Konzio ninth, and I was 10th.
Okay, wow, yeah. So you actually got to go to Tokyo for that.
Yes.
Wow, that's really cool. How long were you there for? Huh?
Believe it was 5 days in all up,
Mm-hmm.
including the flight. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah, I've never actually been to Japan myself. I'm hoping because I'm actually about to go overseas this week, so I'll be spending the next couple of months in Europe. Unfortunately, we'll be missing next season for both Nations and Manu, so our little rivalry that we've had in season one will have to be put on hold. But I actually have a friend who's living in Japan right now. He just moved there to start a job, so hoping that maybe the borders for Japan will be a little bit more open by the time I'm heading back to Australia, and I might be able to drop in to Tokyo on my way back. But yeah, other than that, so for anyone who doesn't know, obviously you stream on YouTube. Were you streaming back in 2018 as well, or it's just something you've started up now?
I tried to start a video series of my escapades in the official season in 2018, but I quickly lost interest in doing it. Or
Hmm.
should I say, I got a little bit too lazy, fell behind a couple of weeks, and thought, "Nah, screw it. I'll just scrap the entire thing."
So were you doing like edited videos, like kind of like Super GD says?
Yeah, I was trying to do edited videos back then rather than streaming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so how have you found with kind of your move over to doing streaming during the first season of Nations in Manu Cup in GT7? Do you find it like distracts you from your driving, or are you pretty cool with it? Because yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it. I don't think it makes any difference really, because whenever an important session comes up, like qualifying in the race, I just shut off my phone and there's no distractions. The only time I'm talking is when I feel like talking.
Hmm.
So yeah, in essence, it's pretty much just like doing the race normally, except people can watch it.
Yeah, because I mean, I have noticed, like maybe you do this when you're not streaming as well, but I have noticed that you're quite a cerebral driver. You're often like thinking things out about like who's already pitted, who could be on what strategy, things like that, which you don't often see from a lot of streamers. But yeah, I do notice that you do actually quite verbalize your thought process a lot.
Yeah, I think there are often times where nothing much is happening in the race, and I guess I often get lucky in that I often find myself in a situation where I don't really have to worry about a car ahead or behind me, so I can just think about, okay, how is the race going, and how can I maximize my total time
Hmm.
or minimize it?
Yeah, and how about for you, James? Because obviously you've been streaming as well, a little bit more frequently lately.
Yeah.
Is the like interaction with the audience something that you find is like helpful for you or distracting?
Um, I mean, in terms of the chat, that can be a little distracting. I try and shut it out as much as I can. It would
Hmm.
probably help if I turned off the notifications. um, but generally, when I'm talking on the stream, I'm just basically saying what I'm thinking in my head anyway, so it's not too much of a distraction at the end of the day.
Yeah, the PlayStation 5 is a little bit of like heaven and also a curse in that regards with like now on the PlayStation 5 we have the chat notifications as an option to come up on the screen, but then they can also be like very, very distracting when you're driving.
Yeah, I mean, they could literally just cover up your entire radar. I've had happen in races, which
Yeah,
is a bit
like
of a problem.
with the qualifying for the Michelin Cup thing, I was like on a lap where I was ahead of Sea Dog's Ghost, and I suddenly had like two or three people jump into the stream like on that lap and start sending me comments, and I was like, ah, guys, no comments, please.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, well, I mean, in the end, I blew the lap anyway, so I can't use that as an
Yeah.
excuse. Um, yeah, so anyway, so moving kind of on to let's quickly cover exactly what's happening for you, Jay. So you did qualify second for BMW behind this Japanese driver, but I understand that he couldn't attend because he has exams or something like that. Obviously, this time of year being difficult for the Japanese drivers with their studies. So when did you get the call from either Sony or Polyphonic Digital? Is it Polyphony or Polyphonic? I don't know why I don't know that, but yeah, when did you get the call from
Polyphony.
PB?
Polyphony.
Polyphony,
Ju-
yeah.
July the 8th,
Mm-hmm.
I have to check exactly what time. 4:06 p.m. So it was very awkward because it was Friday afternoon and I didn't see the email until night. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of chance to actually make arrangements to go over the weekend, which made me believe that I too was gonna have to decline, and then that other Japanese driver Grakudo was going to have to go. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, major shock. Was completely unprepared for it in the end, even though I said a couple of weeks out that I would at least secure P2 BMW and see what happened, because I was very certain that Veltro was going to go
Mm-hmm.
if they were putting in that much effort.
Yeah. So I mean, was it an easy decision for you to make? Like, do you have kind of other stuff going on in your life that like made it kind of tentative whether you were gonna go or not, or were you just like, as soon as you saw the email, you're like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah, it was a very easy decision to go. It was just a matter of getting my passport in order, because
Oh
I'd
yeah, that
actually
one.
misplaced my old passports. Well, it wasn't me per se, but either way, it was lost and I needed a new one
Yeah,
on
yeah,
short notice
on very short notice. Yeah. So
over the weekend.
Yeah, not too
Thankfully,
difficult to quickly get your passport these days.
yeah, I imagine that probably cost you an arm and a leg to get the rush processing done on it.
oh yeah, especially including the wheel, because they didn't even have a wheel that was compatible with the PS4.
Oh right.
Thankfully they gave me until Monday, and on Monday I was able to go to the passport office and sort it out.
Mm-hmm. And so That's actually a nice little transition to what I wanted to ask you about. So basically, you have been a controller player for your whole time on Gran Turismo, pretty much. And now, because the World Series Showdown, it requires you to race on the wheel. So how have you found adapting to that, and which wheel are you practicing on right now?
It wasn't just my whole time on GT Sport. It's been 24 years of controller playing. Because if we really want to go to the into the history of how I got into racing games, it was back in '97 or '98 actually.
Yeah, let's
But
dive into it.
to answer but to answer the question first and foremost, we can circle back around to it.
Hmm.
I got a G29 because it was the only one I could afford on such short notice. I have been told by a McEwen probably look into a T300 RS GT at some point. But at this point, I just need to be on any wheel at all to learn how to drive.
Hmm.
And I've there's been there's promising signs. I overnight when you messaged me on PSN, I was actually trying to nail a lap on the combo that I cannot name because it hasn't been made public yet. But I felt like I put in a pretty good lap.
Hmm. Okay, well that's good to hear. So, I mean, what has been the biggest challenge so far with adapting to the wheel?
I think there's a mental barrier in that it's such a different method of driving a car compared to controller that it's like, okay, I have to train my legs to do what my fingers have been doing all this time.
All this time, yeah. I mean, kind of.
Trail braking is how that then would be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of lucky that I guess you're having to do it in GT7 rather than GT Sport. Because for this Michelin Cup thing that we just did last week, I found going back to GT Sport, the braking on that was like so much more difficult for me to even adapt to, like as a wheel driver for a couple of years. Like just going back from GT7 to GT Sport, the braking in GT7 seems to be so much more forgiving. So it's a little bit of a stroke of luck there that you qualified for GT7 rather than kind of GT Sport last year. But yeah, so going back to saying you've been racing in like sims or racing games for a long time. What was your first one?
Not really. I wouldn't say it was really Sims, but I think it was Colin McRae Rally, the first one,
Yep.
because I by today's standards, you can't really call anything that came out on PS1 a sim, but I guess it was somewhat of a simulation, Colin McRae Rally.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
then
fine.
eventually I remember my first foray into Gran Turismo. I actually on late '98 or may have been mid '98. Uh, Timeline gets a little bit blurry, but I was given two PS1 games to try: Tonka 2 Touring Cars and Gran Turismo. And the irony is that I liked Tonka 2 more because I couldn't figure out how to win on Gran Turismo at first.
See, I'm the exact opposite because I had tried both of those games as well, and I found yeah, Toka to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, but look, going back to both games now, Gran Turismo is a lot more forgiving. I tried driving on Tonka 2 relatively recently, and
Hmm.
the car would spin out even though it's front wheel drive. What's up with that?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I remember just because I didn't have the full game for it, but I had a demo disc from like PlayStation Magazine, and yeah, I think it was just like one race at maybe Brands Hatch or something in the wet, and yeah, I was like struggling so much. So were you for you back then? Were you on the like the analog sticks for accelerator and brake, or did you use the X and square button?
Oh, I was a very diehard X and square
Yeah,
button
me too.
user up until about GT, but it was during the PS3 era. In any case, some games started saying, "No, we're not going to allow you to adjust your controls. You have to use R2 and L2," and that is what taught me to start using that. So I think on Gran Turismo 6 was when I made the transition to R2 L2, and also when I transitioned from chase cam to hood.
Yep. Um, Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see how, because I'm guessing you use a PlayStation 4 controller. I don't know if the PlayStation 5 controller is compatible on PlayStation 4s, but it'd be interesting to
Yeah,
see what your thoughts would be about the PlayStation 5 controller and the adaptive triggers. Have you spoken with like any other pad players? I guess James, you can probably jump in here. Like, how's
Mm.
the PS5 controller compared to the PS4 controller? I mean, you definitely
Honestly,
seem
I
to have gone
found it.
quicker.
Yeah, honestly, didn't enjoy it at all. I
Oh, really?
tried using the adaptive triggers, like how it how it takes a bit more pressure to apply the brake and the accelerator. I tried using it, but I just couldn't get my head around it. It was really difficult to adapt to it, so I just turned it off straight away, pretty much.
Oh,
So
really?
it's essentially just like driving on a PS4 controller again.
Fair
Um,
enough.
Without that, yeah.
So Pyrosaurus Rex Hex, sorry, says in the chat that the PlayStation had analog face buttons until the PlayStation 4. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
True.
So I definitely preferred X and square. I remember still using X and square in uh, Gran Turismo 4, which I think was still on the PS2, right?
Yes. Yes.
yeah, PS2.
Yeah, because I don't think I played any of the Gran Turismos between 4 and GT Sport, so I kind of missed the whole PS3 generation. But yeah, I remember having countless arguments with a friend of mine about which was better, X and Square versus like the analog stick. Because of course, I think it was really only Forza when the Xbox came out that popularized using the triggers for accelerator and brake. Because of course the PlayStation 2 didn't actually have triggers; it was just shoulder buttons for L1, L2, R1, R2. But yeah, I remember arguing with my friend constantly about which one was better, and I was like, "Look, racing drivers, they drive like right foot, left foot. They can be applying both brake and throttle at the same time," and that was like my justification for using X and square because like I could do both at the same time, whereas analog was either you're accelerating or you're braking.
I didn't really have a justification. It was just how the first games I played mapped out the controller scheme. If it had been, if I think if every game had had analog throttle and brake, that is what I would have learned first.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So old dogs can't be taught new tricks, but I guess you're having to learn new tricks now. So, can you let us in on whether your wheel lap times are approaching your controller lap times?
I think the last lap I did was pretty close. I am pretty sure I would still be able to go faster on controller, but I've still got a week at least, so I can see if I can scrub a bit more time off. It felt pretty good at least.
Yeah.
I haven't actually done that exact same combo on controller, so I don't have a reference lap to go off of.
Do you find that you have to brake earlier on the wheel than what you could on controller?
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's more the turning process because when you're on a controller, you can just hit left stick, hit right stick, and the game automatically gives you the proper steering angle
Mm-hmm.
at the expense of front tire wear. But yeah,
Yeah, no, you don't have to tell me that after being stuck a whole race behind you at Autopolis.
yes, worst race pace in the lobby. Come forth anyway.
Yeah, that was definitely painful. But no, well done for getting like the good result in. I think it was slot two, maybe it was slot three, but yeah, you
It
did
was
pretty
slot
well.
two.
It was slot two. Yeah, I mean, we actually did have like quite a good, I guess, rivalry. I don't think we were like necessarily sharing the same piece of track a lot during Nations Cup. But it seemed like there was races where I was just ahead of you, and races where you were ahead of me, and then kind of in the end it was only like 12 points or something between us.
Yeah, it was a real shame that I could never get a good result in slot one. It was always slot two, and it was also a shame that I made that minor error that let Tezza get past me for fourth in the Alsace
Yeah, so yeah.
Rallycross race. Because without that, I would have had an extra 13 points. Would have at least put some pressure on you in the final round.
Yeah, no, it was definitely close. It was a good fight between us. So James, what about you for are you transitioning now back over to your wheel? Because yeah, James has been driving on controller for basically the whole of GT7. He had a wheel previously, but it was kind of in storage. But you've gotten the wheel out of storage now. So how's that going, James?
Yes, wheels fixed up out of storage. Haven't really had a whole lot of time so far to play around with it, try and get back used to it. But I think certainly before the next Nations Cup season starts up, I should be fully back on the wheel, and yeah, back up to pace on it. I know when I was first switching from controller to wheel last year, I first started out on a D29, and yeah, like you said, Jay, the most difficult thing was certainly figuring out what's the right amount to turn. Like how much do I need to steer? I remember I was racing in the league, and I was in the Ford GT Group 3 car, and constantly it seemed like every single corner I was spinning out because I was applying either too much steering lock or I was just going to understeer straight off the track. That was on the G29. Never really got to grips with the G29, so props to you for being able to get some pace out of it.
I think the G29 was just subpar on GT Sports because I never got to grips with it on GT Sports, whereas I feel like I'm doing okay with it on 7.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I think force feedback definitely has been improved a little bit in GT7. But after that, I upgraded to a Fanatec CSL Elite, and that's what I'm currently using now. And yeah, definitely, yeah, as you did, McEwen suggested a P300. I certainly think that most wheels out there are better than a G29. Just the feedback that you'll get from them.
You're gonna hurt
But
Jester's feelings again.
oh no, Jester, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's a big defender of Logitech. It's funny, like a lot of people, they're like very, very defensive when it comes to Logitech. Like I started off with a Logitech as well, and
Mm,
I think it was an okay wheel. My main issue with the
mm.
Logitech is just like its reliability issues in terms of its
Oh
pedals.
gosh, don't even get me started on reliability.
Mm.
Like, but the guy I bought it secondhand, right?
Mhm.
And the guy I bought it off was like, "Oh, it's been sitting in storage for a few months. You might need to clean it out. Like, pedals have got problems." Did they have problems? It was constantly like the brake pedal was flickering on and off, and eventually the accelerator pedal was flickering on and off. It was just undrivable. So yeah, I had to clean it up. And yeah, open it all up, clean it all out. The amount of dust that gets in there, it's ridiculous. All of that being said, a G29 is a good wheel for when you're starting out. It'll get you by, and then eventually at some point maybe you want to upgrade to something a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it's passable. It does the job.
So just to quickly check in with the chat here, just so we're not ignoring them. Pyrosaurus Hex said the 360 Xbox 360 had an amazing trigger design, kind of changed the whole game. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that
Yeah.
the original 360 controller was like really good. It's probably better than anything that had come before it.
Speaking of Pyra, she brings up a good point about not steering enough on wheel, because I think that was actually my issue when I was trying to learn wheel in Tokyo. I wasn't steering enough into
Okay.
Bathurst's tighter turns, and so I was just understeering into the wall.
Yeah, interesting, because it's certainly like a lot of people have the opposite problem of steering too much, and then they'll obviously when you steer too much, you also get understeer. It's a hard concept for a lot of new drivers to learn that yeah, sometimes if you're understeering, it actually means you're steering too much, but then it can also be the opposite effect depending on the car. I remember like we did Fiat 500s at the end of Nations Cup at Goodwood, like the last season of Nations Cup in GT Sport at Goodwood, and that was a car where you needed to steer more than what you thought to get the car around the corner. It was kind of like the opposite of, say, a Group 3 car, where if you steer too much, you understeer. So Hull says, hi there. Hey, what's up, Hull? Vincent Rowbottom says that he is a G29. He would love a direct drive wheel. Well, I can recommend the Fanatec DD Pros. Very good wheel. I've actually got one right here behind me. Vincent Ribottom also says he's done 2 cleans in 18 months of his pedals.
Yep.
And Pyrosaurus Hex, I have such trouble saying that name, says, to be fair, it's more because the force feedback makes me scared that I'm going to break the wheel or something. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, this is certainly. I mean, the G29 does feel a bit like a little bit of like just a cheap plastic toy, compared to some of the other wheels out there. I know the Fanatec
It
definitely feels more solidly constructed.
yeah, the G29 is mass produced.
Yes, mass produced, cheap as cheap materials as they can get, and it kind of shows.
That's why I was kind of disappointed with, because obviously I have the DD Pro wheelbase, but I don't have the DD Pro wheel. And one thing that actually turned me off about the DD Pro wheel itself and why I didn't order it, and instead opted for the Formula wheel, was that, yeah, it was like, it looked like very plastic, and it looked like it was probably going to have like issues with it, like long term. But actually, I wanted to ask you, do you know what wheel is it that you'll actually be using in Austria? Is it the DD Pro, or will it be the Thrustmaster still?
Frostmaster TGT2.
See, now that's really surprising because obviously Gran Turismo 7 has the official partnership with Fanatec, and yet they're still using the Thrustmaster wheels for the competition.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's the strange one. I guess they just
That's,
have them still left over, and they don't want to write off the material.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess like moving on to kind of the last point that I have here on this slide. What are your expectations for Austria? Like, do you feel that you can compete? I mean, we can bring up kind of the list of all of the competitors here. So
okay.
for BMW, you'll be driving, I guess, with. Well, I guess not with, but kind of with in a sense, Will
Uh,
Murdoch and Originals.
Eric
Have you had much?
Cases, actually, because Will is still not 18.
Oh yeah, we won't be
Oh,
able to
yeah.
go. That's true. Um,
Yeah, got scammed by the age restriction. So
uh,
did Takuan. That's why Viconzio gets to go after all.
yeah, for Porsche. Who is it for the EMEA then for BMW? Do
Yeah.
you know?
Eric Cases had the same points total as Will, so it's pretty much they're a like for like replacement.
Okay.
As opposed to me versus Veltro, where, oh, geez, I'm going to let this team down. It would have been a podium contender otherwise.
Yeah, you were quite a far behind what he had, but still
I could
nonetheless,
I
you.
could definitely have scored more points than that, but there wasn't much motivation because I knew I was going to stay ahead of Gracudo either way.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you didn't have like some good scores here. You had 314 and 296, which is fairly well, like it's respectable because I'm guessing these were split too. I doubt you had the DI
Yeah,
to get into top split for Manu.
I didn't.
Mm.
That the first round though was actually a win in second split.
Okay. Oh, congratulations for that. Um, yeah, so I mean, I guess it's probably going to be difficult for you against kind of some of these names. But I'm sure you'll do your best, and if you can,
As
sorry, go ahead.
as an individual, it's possible that I may actually be the slowest person in this group, but I think BMW at least can avoid coming last because the car is good, and we've got two good drivers to hide my shortcomings.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, if you can kind of get your qualifying pace to what it is on the pad, I think that gives you a shot of not being the slowest driver, certainly. If my kind of my own analysis of your driving was that your time trial pace and qualifying pace was often like better than what your race pace was, whether that kind of comes down to just like tire wear issues or just kind of long term accuracy with the controller compared to wheel drivers. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on that?
It pretty much is the tire wear because if I was actually doing my best compared to the rest of Oceania in the test season when we only had times one tire wear.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. So Maxi checking in on the chat saying TGT is still the best wheel for GT. I've never used one, so I don't know. I used a friend's, I think T100 or T300. I'm not 100% sure on all the Thrustmaster model names. I used one of them when I first came back to Australia before I got my own wheel, and I was pretty impressed with it, I gotta say. Jokin says, "Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us, Jokin." So anyone in the chat, before we wrap up this segment with Jay, if you have any questions for him, just feel free to type them now. And what we're going to do kind of next is a little bit of a draft for the manufacturer's World Series Showdown. So if you want to stay with us, Jay, you can kind of join in and give your thoughts on everything.
Sure, sure. While we're waiting for any questions, there is one tiny hint I'll give in regards to the format.
Mhm.
It is going to be the longest race in World Tour history.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Wow.
Now that's interesting. That's making me think that it's going to be something like Nordschleife or Le Mans. I don't know why, but that's kind of what my thoughts jump to. What do you think, James?
That's I could see that happening. That would certainly be interesting first live event for GT. Final on the Nordschleife or the Mons or something.
Is it just Group 3 that drives for Manu, or is it Group 3 and Group 4?
I don't want to give away too much more because we are under confidentiality agreement until they make the combo public.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Fair
no,
enough.
that's fair enough.
From what I know, it's just Group 3, but who knows? Maybe they'll change something.
Yeah,
Hard to say.
obviously I haven't been around enough in the GT community to know what previous live events were like, but from memory the races we all had last year for Manu, like the online stuff was all just Group 3. I don't remember Group 4 being featured,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I guess not too long to find out.
Another few things from the chat. So Holland says, aka Metal Gear, in case you didn't know, I'm sure you did though. Good luck, Jay, in Austria. Maxi says, good luck in Austria, aka Naked Blade. Pyrosaurus Hex says, I get the feeling a 3-driver endurance. So now that'd be interesting, but obviously Gran Turismo can't really do that in terms of like the technical side of things.
In the World Tour, though, like in the past live events, they have had like driver swaps, like literally
Like
swapping in and out
physical
of the sim
driver
rig.
swaps. Yeah, that's
So
true, I
I
suppose.
guess they could do that as well.
So we have a question from Vincent Rowbottom in the chat. I'm guessing this is for you, Jay. Do you like rice and dumplings? I don't know if that's a serious question or some kind of inside joke.
Don't really. I haven't really eaten dumplings much, but yes, I do enjoy rice a fair bit.
Since in Austria, Red Bull. Then, do you like Red Bull?
I've never drunk it.
Fair enough.
I don't really. I can't really form an opinion on the drink one way or another since I've never drank it.
Have you ever had cough
Fair
medicine?
enough.
Yeah, I've had cough medicine.
That's what it tastes like.
Hopefully, it's at least a raspberry flavored cough medicine.
Yeah, it kind of has that kind of really sickly sweet flavor. I'm not a fan of it at all. It doesn't work for me. Vincent said the rice and dumplings question was because he thought it was in Japan, but no, yeah, it's in Austria, Salzburg, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hangar 7.
Are you flying through Bangkok like Twitchy is?
No, my the layover is in Singapore.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Sounds like they've just gone with the cheapest flights that they can, wherever that happens to lay over.
Oh, they've got I mean, it's very expensive while either way. They might as well try and make it as cheap as they can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I just booked a $3,000 flight to Dubai, so it's not cheap to travel right now. I'll give you that. But yeah, anyway, so what we'll do is basically the way we're going to do this is a snake draft. Are you aware of how they work?
Yes.
Yeah, so just in case anyone watching doesn't understand, so what we'll do is we'll take turns picking a manufacturer. And so let's say I'm picking first. I'll pick one, and then James would pick one, and then we'll add a row here, add row above. And change this to J. Then Jay will pick one, and then we'll give the chat a chance to pick one. And then the way
Hi,
this...
I'm new.
Sorry, what's up?
I was just trying to make a joke.
Uh,
Continue.
Yeah. And then the way a snake draft works is then for the next round of picks, it reverses back the opposite order. So basically, to get us moving along, because we're starting to run a little bit over time, I'll make the first pick. All right, so with this little tidbit of information that it's going to be more of an endurance race, that makes me want to pick a manufacturer which is like very good on tire wear. But then looking at this, it's obviously okay. So the Subaru, so WRX has obviously been a dominant car, but the BRZ is incredible when it comes to tire wear. So I think I was going to pick Subaru first either way. Big fan of Miyazano. So yeah, I'm going to go with Subaru as my first pick because I think whether it's going to be like an endurance tire wear race or just like a more like, shootout, flat out kind of race, I think Subaru is well suited for that.
Yeah, I think it was either Subaru or Toyota for my personal number one pick.
Alrighty, James, what do you think? What's
Well,
your pick?
speaking of Toyota, my pick's going to be Toyota.
Toyota?
They always seem to do well, no matter what the combo is. These live events.
So of
Yeah,
course,
Toyota's a safe bet being a partner as well.
yep, Toyota represented by Akagi, ARM Nick, and Igor Fraga. So again, three very, very good drivers. So we'll slot them in. Just quickly checking in with the chat. So Lewis says, "G'day, hey Lewis, how's it going?" And Rain GT says, "Talking Gran Turismo is back, yeah, from our short little 2-day break."
2-day hiatus. We've finally returned. I'm glad you could wait.
So chat, because your turn will be coming up soon, start spamming in the chat who you want to take as Jay makes his pick.
I'm going to look up something real quick, but while I'm doing that, I'm going to field your Gotta's question. Actually, I have autism, so I don't actually have a job. I don't. It's kind of embarrassing to bring up though, as I know I'm kind of a lazy sod.
No, that's fair enough. Obviously, everyone has their own issues with life that they're dealing with, and I mean, it's good that you at least found something that you can like excel at, right? And that gives you some enjoyment.
That's true. I was looking up something because I was thinking, well, you've taken the two obvious picks.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do? I'm actually going to go for something out of left field and take Porsche.
All right, so Porsche. So who is representing Porsche? We've Conzio, obviously, not Takuan. Josetti, who is incredible Spanish driver, and I'm not sure who this American / North American.
Stroza, pretty good.
Oh, it's Stroza. Well, there you go. Yeah,
he's good.
So you've got three pretty good World Tour level drivers. I wouldn't say they're quite. I wouldn't say the team is quite on the level of BF Subaru and Toyota on paper, but I think it is a outsider chance of doing something special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the Porsche is certainly a decent car if it's like driven by the right person. I know that it's a little bit more tricky to drive than what it was in GT Sport, so that's probably why there just hasn't been as many people choosing it. And then of course, obviously Subaru's current dominance. So chat, over to you guys. We're seeing not a lot of agreement here. We got a vote for Genesis, BMW, Jaguar, and Nissan. So 4 different options here, or 3 different options.
Well, they do get 2 picks in a row.
Yeah, that's true. So come on, guys, keep on voting, and we'll choose one.
The first manufacturer to get 2 votes will pick.
Yep.
We can get some consensus, guys.
So in the meantime, we'll just read out this comment from Joken. So he says, "Nothing to be embarrassed about, mate. All the best on your journey." So that's for you, Jay. Vincent says, "Hey, Jay, all good here. I have a son on the spectrum."
I guess I got pretty lucky in that I was high-functioning Asperger's syndrome. Mm-hmm. They don't really call it Asperger's these days, though. They just lump it in on the autism spectrum.
So Pyrosaurus Hex says Nissan and then Genesis. So unless anyone jumps in with a comment before that, we will be going with those two.
So Genesis, they've got Trust, ERM, Nico RD, and Dino Solo. That Dino Solo, that's Dean Solus, right? I think.
No, you're thinking of Danny Solis. That's
Oh,
different person. No,
right.
Dino Solo.
Okay.
He's
Never
a
mind.
he streams on Twitch. He's a really nice guy, actually.
Okay. All right.
All right, but
Nice.
yeah, it seems like Nissan and Genesis is going to get the pick here. So chat takes Nissan and Genesis. So back over to you, Jay, for the next pick.
Pyro comes in with the reference Genesis, what Nintendo Genesis. There's actually an image that I can share in the voice chat. But anyway, before I hold up the draft too much further, I'm going to take Chevrolet next.
Chevrolet. So who have we got for Chevrolet? Kazuna Kota, GG Alex LM. Not aware of who any of these drivers are actually.
I feel like we might know their real names potentially, but it's difficult to go off usernames.
Yeah, I know. It's very difficult sometimes. If Danny was here, he would know every single one.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, he's like a what's the word? Like a genius, I guess, when it comes to this kind of thing.
So yeah, I posted the meme in voice channel.
Okay, I'll take a look at that while James decides on his pick.
I think for my next one, I'm gonna say AMG. I think they've got a really good driver lineup.
It's in the text. Yeah.
Plus, I want to get behind. Oh wait, no, hang on. I just remembered that Andrew wasn't going to go into Salzburg. Regardless, though, I still think AMG's got a really good lineup. Beauvoir, Benelli, and I'm not sure who's going to be going for the Asia region. But I think they've still got right. Yeah, well, I still think that's a really strong lineup, and I'd pick them to go well.
So yeah, Mercedes I think is actually a very very underrated lineup. That were actually going to be my next pick because I'm a big fan of Susu. I think Susu is going to do an incredible job this season. So back over to me for the next two picks. So we have BMW, Jaguar, Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Volkswagen still on the board. Now, I think I need to have a little bit of a redemption here. So I said that Volkswagen maybe doesn't necessarily have the talent behind it over in the other regions and was very quickly shut down by everyone saying that, well, Aphelion is an incredibly quick driver who is driving for Volkswagen. And then just on top of that, CRV is obviously just a god level player of this game if he can actually take the Volkswagen and get such good results with it. So I'm going to go with Volkswagen as my pick out of left field. BMW, yeah, it's a tough choice. I think if Will was representing them, I would feel very confident with picking them. I think Will is like an incredible driver as well. Obviously, we have Jay with us as well, and originals. So yeah, I think BMW they could do well here. Mitsubishi has distinct Smysla. Yeah, I just don't think the Mitsubishi is a very good car, to be honest, and it seems to struggle on any kind of fuel saving race as well, as we saw from that last round in Suzuka. Mazda could do very well on the longer races, so I'm tossing up between Mazda and BMW. Well, you know, I'm going to leave BMW on the board just in case Jay might want to pick himself. I might motivate him to try even harder to get the win over there in Austria. So I'm going to go with Mazda for my pick.
All right, for my final pick, honestly, it feels like a bit of a coin flip. I'm not too sure on how good the Jaguar or the Mitsubishi are, but I'm going to say BMW.
We've taken it off the board.
Does well.
Old.
But yeah, I think the BMW is a really good car, especially Group 3.
Yeah, the
So,
M6 is revealing itself as
oh yeah.
actually quite a competitive car.
Yeah,
So
it's,
I
it's a
think
great car. I just don't know if it'll be that great in my hands.
I'm sure you'll do a good job.
absolutely still some time to prep and get ready for that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'd like to see BMW do well for sure.
I'm gonna let chat have this pick because that way chat gets another chance to talk amongst themselves.
Okay. So chat, we've got Jaguar and Mitsubishi left on the board. Who are you guys going to take? And while we're at it, once you get your vote out, I can actually put up a quick poll. So 1 second. Jag or Mit?
Yeah, early signs pointing to Jag.
Yeah, it looks like they're beating me to it in terms of even putting up the poll. So I've got 3 votes for Jag. I'm pretty sure that Jaguar. Okay, Maxi says Jag, so everyone's going with Jag here.
I think that's a bit of a consensus right there.
Yep. So Jaguar goes to the chat, and that leaves Mitsubishi for you, Jay. So
Yeah, I'm okay with Mitsubishi. They're not. It's not a terrible car per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I know. Obviously, Distinct Misla is a very good driver, so we'll see what he can do with it. I'm not aware of the 2 other drivers for the European and American regions.
I don't think any of these 12 teams are outright bad. They're some of them they're definitely better than others based on the driver lineup. But I think you needed to have a good Group 3 car to make it in the top 12 out of 26.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no, out of the top 12, definitely every single one of these has a very good Group 3 car. So, yeah, kind of looking at the picks. So, Subaru, Volkswagen, Mazda for myself, James with Toyota and AMG, 2 very, very strong, and BMW, actually. James's picks are probably even stronger on balance than mine. Jay, obviously, with Porsche, Chevrolet, and Mitsubishi, a little bit of a outside chance there. But I actually think that the chat has a very, very good team with Nissan and Genesis as their first 2 picks. So, yes, we'll check back in a couple of weeks after Austria is all said and done, and see which one of us gets the win.
Anything can happen.
Anything
Who
can
knows?
indeed happen. So yeah, before we wrap things up, we just going to have a quick look at the Michelin Cup Asia, and I actually realized that I do have the older one, which has the incorrect names on it. So the
World
Michelin.
famous
Adam
Gary
Welk
Reed.
Trans.
What's that?
Adam Welk Trans.
Caitlin Embers. Yep,
Caitlin
that's
Embers,
his
Gary
new
Reed.
name.
So watch this space, guys. Next season, Nations Cup, Distinct Gary is going to come dominate, I reckon.
Absolutely. His real name is Gary Barbara. That's what the G stands for.
Gary Barbara, yeah, not Guy Barbara, but Gary Barbara. So yeah, basically the Michelin Asian Cup was a competition that's being run by I think Thailand Michelin, and so the winner of this competition will actually get a all expenses trip to Abu Dhabi to do some laps around the Marina circuit. So sorry, I'm just getting a message from my mom. So yeah, the qualifiers ended up being Matthew McEwen, obviously in first. We have Adrian, maybe better known as Adrian Feller. Second, Noodles in third. Paul Candanolian. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Distinct Twitchy, aka Guy, not Gary Reed. It's Guy Barbara, right? Yep, that's right.
Yes, Guy Barbara and Adam Wilk.
And
in
Adam
fifth.
Wilk rather than Caitlin
Not
Embers.
Caitlin Embers.
But at least they got Matthew Allen Ranger Oz's name correctly.
They did. And
but
I'd really like to point out here, if you want to jump onto the next slide,
Yeah.
just how close these qualifying times were. So McEwen came in on the final day and blew everyone out of the water, top time in the region.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so Ranger was the final one to qualify. You then have Newton, who I believe runs multiple different sims, entered competitions in them all, who's 0.06 of a second back.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Spydog, also there's Simon Bishop.
Yep.
Only another 0.09 of a second back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just another 100th of a second back.
Yeah, very
Muffin's
close.
1,000th of a second back. Conzio's 100th of a second back. And then John O'Stan is within another tenth as well.
Yeah.
So
I heard that the combo was really annoying because it ended up effectively being Peugeot RCZ at Red Bull Ring,
Yep.
front wheel drive understeer everywhere.
Yep.
yeah, that it was brutally painful. Not the kind of car you want to be chasing milliseconds in.
Now, I
But
noticed you you decided to crop this 2 drivers too short though.
oh, I apologize. Yes, we did have you with the 35-1. I think you got.
Yeah, low 35
Uh,
one. Never
yeah,
got to
look,
my opt, unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yes, I just
TX3
wanted to
too far
show
ahead of me.
everyone who, if this was a straight top 24, because there were 6 drivers from each country,
Mhm.
if it was a straight top 24, all of us would have qualified. But instead, there's a little bit of a personal grab I have. You've
Got
got
EMA'd.
we got EMEA'd. It is true.
Yeah,
The
that's funny actually.
yeah, the Thailand qualifying times were a bit lower.
No,
Indonesian
The
qualifying.
Thai ones were okay. It was the
Oh,
Malaysian
true.
qualifying times,
The
which
Malaysian ones, yeah. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure a 35.6 was enough to get in Malaysia.
35.6. Yeah, very kind of off the pace, I guess. A whole
Yes.
second behind McEwen. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, well, proud representation from Oceania region that we actually did so well, and I'm surprised that actually so many. Well, no, I'm not surprised. I'm actually more surprised that not as many people did this as what could have done it. Like you would have thought that maybe Andrew would have a go, or there's a lot of other quick drivers who could have had a go at this. Considering the prize was
Absolutely.
pretty good.
Yeah, the prize was awesome. Like you said, fully expenses paid trip to Yas Marina.
The funny
But yeah,
one.
no,
The funny one was that Emery was like promoting this series, and then she didn't even set a time.
Emery was promoting the series, but for some reason she streamed it on GT7.
Yeah, with the wrong car on the
But
wrong track.
was it the wrong track though? Because she said that was the track for the semi-final. So who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe
well,
she
we don't
just
know.
accidentally leaked the semi-final track.
For me, the excuse was that I don't actually have a real life driver's license.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
Um,
that's
I
fair
never
enough.
needed one.
yeah, fair
Yeah,
enough.
it was one of the prerequisites to enter. Yeah, actually, this LCM Newton guy, yeah, right up there with kind of the aliens of the region. So
Yeah,
interesting to see if he ever like pops across to do Nations Cup or Manufacturer Series in GT7.
maybe. I've heard that he travels for different competitions. I know McEwen said that he raced against Newton in the Logitech G Challenge, which I can't remember what sim that was on.
I think they switched to Assetto Corsa after 2018.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But yes, and said that Newton back then had the edge over himself. So yeah, no, Newton, from what I've heard, jumps around to different sims, does different competitions like this. But it would be good to see him in nations or manufacturers. Always competition in the region.
Yeah. So I guess before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you, Jay, do you intend to keep on driving with the wheel after you get back from Austria, or do you think you'd go back to the controller?
I'm gonna keep on practicing on the wheel. I'm pretty sure I'm still going to be doing my competitive racing on controller at least until the end of the second season in 2022.
Okay.
But I do feel like this has given me more motivation to actually try and get good at sim racing instead of being a controller pleb who manages to stumble into a world tour appearance.
Yeah. Well, we wish you all the luck. When do you head off?
The 27th
27th,
to
so a week from today, basically.
yeah, to 230, 240, I think.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, good luck with that. It doesn't look like, I mean, it's a little bit disappointing that we didn't have too many people in the chat leaving any questions for you. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and yeah, good
I
luck.
mean, considering your subscriber count, you got a decent audience.
Oh, that feels like a backhanded compliment.
I mean, I've got more subscribers, yet I have the get less viewers than this.
Yeah, no, I noticed. It's like I'm actually like pretty happy with how the show's been going so far. Because I realized that Smoke, Adam, and Nathan, they've been doing a podcast as well, but we've actually been beating them for views, despite kind of
Really?
Adam having a much bigger viewer base than what I do. So I think so far we're going pretty well with this. Obviously, I'm going to be going overseas as well as of next week, but I'll try to obviously still be staying involved with the community here in Oceania as we move into season 2, and yeah, hopefully can continue doing the show.
There's a question in chat from Matt.
Sorry, what is that? What would you have done, Matt, if qualified in finals in wedding? Would you have been in trouble there? Well, I'm always flexible with everything that I do, so I would have definitely gone and driven in Austria. um, Pyrosaurus Hex says, to be honest, I can ask him questions in real life. And Get Lounsey says, all the best, Jay, and everyone in the finals. So I think we'll wrap things up there. Anything you want to say, Jay, before we head off?
Not really.
All right, and James?
Yeah. That's all from me. Thanks, Jay, for coming onto the show. It was good to have a chat. And yeah, we wish you all the best in Austria.
Yeah, man. The way you two are going, I think you two to have a good chance of making it to one of these world tours someday too. So, wish you all the best in managing that in the future.
Yeah. Cheers for
Someday,
that.
that's the goal.
Knock on wood. Good luck. All right, guys. Thanks for joining.